Today we're going to talk about how to apply the equations that we've been learning how to solve into word problems that we're going to be working out. So if we first talk about our key words, look for key words in your word problems that tell you whether to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So in this first problem, what would the key word be? Yes, sum. Sum would be our key word, which tells us to add. Then decide, okay, what am I going to add? I'm going to add a number and 3. And our other key word is the word is. Is means equals. So let's write out our problem. A number, we'll use a variable, we'll use n for number, plus 3, our sum, is 10. So there we've taken our word problem and made it into an actual equation that we can solve, where we would subtract 3 from both sides and find what n equals. The next thing we want to talk about are consecutive numbers. Consecutive means one right after the other. For example, 1 and 2 are consecutive, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. Those are consecutive numbers. But let's write this algebraically. Let's start with 2. If 2 is our number n, the next number would be 3. So if n represents 2, 3 would be n plus 1, which if this is 2, this would be 2 plus 1, which is 3. So if we want to talk about a number, n, the next number would be n plus 1. The next number would be n plus 2. If n is 2, then if I add 2, I get 4. N plus 3 would be my next number. So as I progress through my consecutive numbers, I'm adding 1 each time. So n, this is always our starting point, the n. And then for each consecutive number, we would add 1 to our equation. Let's try putting this into a problem. Read our problem. The sum, this means we add, 2 consecutive numbers. Okay, if our starting point is always n, the next consecutive number would be n plus 1. That's our equals, 14. So let's make our equation out of this. I'm adding n and n plus 1. This is my first number, and this is my next consecutive number. I want to add these, so I'm going to put a plus sign between n and n plus 1. Now, look at this algebraically. How can we make this into a problem that we can solve? Okay, our steps to solving equations were distribute, combine like terms, solve. There's no distributing in this problem, so we'll go to step 2. Combine n plus your n. That's 2n, then your plus 1 equals 14. Now go ahead and finish solving your problem. Do your inverse operations, minus 1, 2n. And yes, you can go ahead and get a decimal on this problem, because when you divide by 2, you're going to get 6.5. 6.5 would be easier to work with in this case than 13 over 2, because this is our first number. But what's our second number? What is 6.5 plus 1? That would be 7.5. So in these problems, we may have 2 answers. Because it says 2 consecutive numbers, I need to see what those 2 numbers are. So my first number is 6.5. My second number was 6.5 plus 1. All right, let's try another problem. This time we're going to talk about even and odd numbers. When you talk about an even number, to get to the next even number, we have to skip over 3, right? So if our first number is n, our next number is n plus 2, because we're skipping over the 3. Our next even number would be n plus 4, and so on. Remember, you're looking at the even numbers or the odd numbers. Even if you're looking at odd numbers, you still would use n plus 2, and n plus 4. Do not think odd, oh, I have to use n plus 3, n plus 5. No, because you're just skipping over one number in between. Okay, so let's try one like this. The sum, okay, we're going to add two consecutive odd numbers. Okay, remember your starting point is always n. Your next odd number would be what? Remember how to do the even and odd, n plus 2. Okay, so we're going to add these. So I'm going to add n and n plus 2 equals our answer 72. Now go ahead and solve your equation now that you've got it. Writing the equation is the hard part. Solving it should be the easy part. If we can get our PowerPoint to stay on one slide. All right, n plus n, you should be almost done solving now. 72, subtract 2, 70. So n equals 35. So now, is that an odd number? Yes, 35 is odd. So what would the next consecutive odd number be? If you start with 35, the next odd number would be 37. So those are your two answers. Now, I would always suggest you check. Make sure that 35 plus 37 equals 72. So that would be 12, carry, check. Always check them. It doesn't take but a couple of seconds and you know you have the right answer. All right, let's try a couple of practice problems on these. Read it carefully. The sum, we're going to add, of two consecutive numbers. Okay, there's no even or odd here. So n, and what would be the next consecutive number? No even or odd, would just be plus n plus 1. Two consecutive numbers. Their total, their sum is 173. All right, go ahead and solve the rest of this problem on your own and let's see if you get it. Pause the video if you need to. Turn it back on when you're done. All right, you should have combined 2n plus 1 equals 173, subtracted 1, and then divided by 2, and your answers should have been 86 and 87. And did you add them up to make sure you had them right? Always check yourself. That will help you not make some careless mistakes. All right, let's try two consecutive even numbers whose sum, okay, there's our key word there, sum. All right, how do we write two consecutive even numbers? We have our starting point, and then we have an even number. We're skipping over the one in between those. We're skipping over that odd number, so we add 2. So their sum is 94. Now go ahead and solve these, and remember you're supposed to be getting two even numbers that will add up to 94. Work it out, pause the video, and turn it back on when you get your answer. Okay, you should have gotten n equals 46 and 48. Hopefully you did that right. Awesome. All right, the last problem we're going to do is a little bit different. Let's read this carefully. Find 3 consecutive odd integers such that, okay, some key words here. So I've got 3 consecutive odd numbers. Let's write down what those numbers would represent. N would be our first one. What would the second one be if it's going to be odd and consecutive? N plus 2. And then n plus 4. So first number, second number, first number, second number, third number. Now, that's not the problem though. That's not the equation. Here is the equation. The word such that says, okay, now here's what we're going to do with these 3 numbers, such that, and then it describes your problem. So in blue here I have the actual equation you're going to write. Twice the first. Okay, how do you show twice something? It would be 2 times that thing, right? So the first number is n. How do we show twice n? 2n. Is, okay, what does is mean? Equals. 7 more, okay, here's the other part of our equation. 7 more would be plus 7. We're going to put that on the end just because it's easier to solve. 7 more than the third. Okay, what's our third number? N plus 4 is our third number. So we're going to put n plus 4 in front of the 7. Now, there's our equation. Simple to solve. Remember our 3 steps. Distribute. Okay, there's no distributing here. Combine like terms. Is there anything we can combine? Yes. 4 plus 7. So I'm going to bring down 2n. N plus 4 plus 7 is 11. And now solve. All right, how do we solve this? We put our variables on one side, our constants on the other side. So we need to move the n across our equal sign. That's a positive n, so we're going to subtract n, and that will be 1n equals 11. Okay, so that is n. If this is 11, what's n plus 2? 11 plus 2 is 13. Now, what's n plus 4? Remember, n is 11. 11 plus 4 is 15. So our 3 numbers are 11, 13, and 15, and that would be our answer right there. One common mistake is use the 11 to add n plus 2 and n plus 4. So 11 plus 2 and 11 plus 4. All right, go over these, practice them, remember what your keywords mean.